Hello and welcome to this section. In this section, we will learn how to use general variables together. This section mainly includes the following contents. First, we'll introduce what a general variable is. Next, we will talk about the scenarios in which general variables are used. Finally, we will talk about some basic usage methods of general variables. First, let's introduce what our general variables are. In the final analysis, a general variable is an object-type data variable. Its initial value is an empty object, and a general variable is a structured data variable used to store a number with multi-level structure according to. Second, when using general variables, you can structure the variables by adding nodes, or automatically generate nodes at all levels by importing the data of JSON format classes. Next, let's talk about the usage scenario of general variables. Generally speaking, there are three usage scenarios for general variables. The first point is to make a production of our internationalization. Using general variables can complete the switching of various languages, store the text language in the general variable, and bind it, and then change its reference value when switching the language. This international demo is available in our demo center. After learning the general variables, you can directly view one of our internationalization practices. The second point is that we store the API. In the same case, the general variables will be returned when calling the API, and the API will return a data structure similar to JSON. Generally speaking, we will directly use our general variables for storage, and then the API will be explained in a special chapter later, so this is not our section at key point to be demonstrated in class. In this lesson, we will demonstrate how to store data with complex hierarchical structure, which is also a common method of using general variables. In this lesson, we will demonstrate how to store a very complex data structure. Then let's open our editor to understand a writing method of a common variable. First, let's open our editor, input a common variable in the application name, and then click Create to complete the creation of our application, and then develop a good habit. We add a page under the front end, then we add our common variables in the page. Where are the common variables? In fact, it's here. You see, an X represents unknown and infinite possibilities. Therefore, there are many things that general variables can do. Therefore, here, we choose our general variables and click to complete an addition. Then first, let's look at a basic property of a general variable. First, we can see that there are two methods in its basic property. The first is its import structure, and the second is its import JA. The import structure is completely consistent with our previous practice, that is, you can import any data with structure through the import structure method. Since it can import structure, we might as well set such a data to enable it to import. In this way, we will take what we learned in the previous course. We quickly paste the object array. This is an array structure we added in the last lesson. We quickly copy it, and then return to our general variables. We quickly paste it. Is this the object array we learned in the last lesson? Let's select our general variables and import them into the structure here. Let's select an object array on our side. We can see that it automatically helps us import. Each data element contains its name, what type is the name, what type is the string type, and what is the age. It's our number type. What's the enrollment time? Is our number type, and then what is our image type? You can see that it has imported all the corresponding structures here, so what can such a general variable be used for now? 10. We can use such a general variable as our object array. That's why the name of this variable is called a general variable, because it can actually do what you want to do with other variables and any variable. So here, we add a button. Let's take a look at the general variable. It has a series of events. When it is clicked, we will select one of our common variables. You can see it in our drop-down menu. There are various arrays here. Do you know the meaning of array with array? Yes, it actually means that as long as you select one of its paths as an array, it can execute a series of values of the array class. For example, if you add a value array here, when I choose to add a value array, it will let me select the path of an array. If you look at such a general variable, is its root path an array? So here, I will directly select a value a, is this an array? Then, since we have selected this step, we can directly use it as an array for the remaining series of contents. For example, here it is a general variable. For example, here it is our object array. Let's review how we add values in the object array. Here we can directly write a structure of an object variable. We can directly import a structure here. Let's write it casually. Compare, for example, it's called Aston, aged 18, and enrolled in 2016. If we take photos, we won't fill it in here. Let him be blank. Here, we select one of our object arrays. We ask him to add a row of data custom structure. We can see what the difference is and whether the difference is. We select the value of our object array here, and add it to a conclusion here. Therefore, for our general variables, as long as we selected in the path we are currently an object array, and we can use all the actions in the object array. Why? That's why it's called a general variable. Similarly, after adding, we will print such a common variable. Let's print its current value. Let's preview it. Click a check here, and basically all of them are controlled here. But I can see such a common variable by clicking it. Is it right to put an enrollment time in 2016, age in Aston, age in 18? A value like years old has recognized it, and we are familiar with a structure like ours. Is this a general variable that we can add another one? Is this adding to? Therefore, this is equivalent to that the general variables can actually do all the common operations in our previous array, so we won't give a one-to-one demonstration here, because all the common operations here, in fact, we only need to learn in our previous courses. And what's the only difference here? That is, I have to select a path corresponding to it so that I can perform a series of corresponding actions. Therefore, we can see that for our object array, it is a step short, that is, it selects one of them as a path of the object array, and then carries out a series of operations. After understanding this, we continue to return to our general variables. We can see that there are two kinds of general variables, that is, we can either switch to an array or an object. Here we'll create a new general variable. We can click it to see that it does not have any data structure at the beginning. We have just demonstrated how to import a structure. Then, instead of using our method of importing the structure, let's use the way we add the following nodes to initialize the structure of one of our general variables. Note that here is only a structure, including our imported structure. We can see that its initial value has no value by default. It has a value only after we add a line. Therefore, for our general variables, what we import here is only a structured thing. So here we go add a root node, and then let's design a general variable that is a little more complex here, because we just said, what's its biggest role for our general variable? It is to deal with complex structures. Since its own structure is as simple as an object array, we certainly won't use our general variables to deal with it. So here we will write a relatively complex structure. What is this structure? First, let's change the name. For example, let's make an introduction to our HeCode company. First, let's change Chungming into a company name. What kind of company name is it? The company name is definitely not our object type, is it? It should be a string type, so first we add the name of a company as a value of its string type, and then we add a follow-up contact. What else does a company have besides its company name? Is there a domain name in our HeCode? So we add a website here. For our website, our company has two domain names, and the two domain names include our HeCode and IH5 respectively. Therefore, we add a subset structure here, and then the two domain names it contains are our IH5 respectively. What else? Let's add another one. The other one is our HeCode. What are these two domain names? We can write their domain names directly, so we change it to a string type. For an object, what should I do if I want to set a value? Should I put a quotation mark first? For example, the field value of its first object is called our HeCode, and what is our website in HeCode? Let's type a colon and a quotation mark. The URL of HeCode, right? WeHeCode.com, this is our website. Then we need to type out the value of the second field. What is the separation between the two field values? Is it separated by our comma? So here, we enter a comma and send it to us, then put in a quotation mark, and then there is our IH5, right? Then enter one of our colons. What is our IH5 website? Is it still a string here, so we point to the CN in IH5, so at this time, we write in the two URLs we can choose in the whole website. In the V system, have we finished writing, and then type a comma. Note that it is equivalent to such a whole. This object is a part of our website, it's worth it. We must pay enough attention here. What's next? And our employees, right? So here we write down the position of our employees. Similarly, first put an English quotation mark, and then enter one of our employees, and then we enter our colon. For our employees, we must have more than one employee, right? And each of our employees has our name and our age, so here we can first enter a bracket, and then we use a representation mode of the object array. Now that we have set the brackets, each object is an object. What about the object? Shall we put another parenthesis? What's the first one in the curly braces? The first one is our name, right? So first, let's add a name. For example, our first name is here. Let's enter a yellow, and then the fields between objects are separated only by what? It's separated by commas, right? Then it has a field containing the second one. What's our name? It's our age, and then age is our age. The age here is 26 years old. Has this completed the first assignment for the employee position, and then we copy this piece and separate it with commas. This is our second, for example, the second one, another one here, and then the age is 27 years old, so we have completed an assignment of two such values. In this way, do we complete an assignment of our initial value. Next, we click Enter. You can notice that when I click Enter, is such a structure explained by us? You can see what such a structure contains. First, what is company names? This is a simple object, right? The value of his object is our XX, and then the employee. What is the employee's job generation? You can see if he has a square behind him, and there is a post in front of him, so for our employees, is it an array, right? Then each array has its own value, and then down to our vista, what does it contain? It contains an object, and each object in the object has its own sword ming, and its sword finger, so is this a very complex structure? In that case, let's copy such a series of values. This is the last result we want to copy. Let's copy it. Well, here, this is an assignment operation. We paste it, and then after the same copy, we let our general variable print its current value. Then let's preview one of the effects. As can be seen from the assignment, here is a structure of our general variables. HeCode employees, including one of their websites, have been put here for use. In this way, we have performed a comeback operation on our public variables. Since we have paid an initial value with such a fee, what are the benefits of paying the initial value? In fact, its benefits are very obvious, that is, for a general variable like us, is it an information collection? So I can put all the information collection about a certain thing here. For example, if you look at the name of a company, is its corresponding website, and all its employees in such an information collection go inside the set, and then I can perform an operation on each data in it. Here, let me demonstrate, for example, how to perform an operation with a new value for my company name here. Here we will add another button, and then set the event for him. When he is clicked, we will select an information collection from our side to select. There is a content called our setting value here, and the setting value is also a content that we must master in the general variable. There are two kinds of setting values, one is our setting value selection path, and a set value custom path. Here, let's first explain how we set the value to select the path. You see, after selecting the path, it will directly pull out the value of our drop-down menu. Here, we first demonstrate a method of setting the company name. Here, I choose a company name, and you can see that it is false. Then, here, we will turn it into a HeCode Pro, which is the paper of our new company name. Here we choose the setting value, then we choose the path selection method, and then we set what? We design a website for the project, and then we choose website. You see, website is directly in the drop-down menu, which can be selected by ourselves. For example, in Visa, I want to set our IH5A value, you see, becomes IH5 in the website. Why does the teacher just change it into an English quotation mark on our side? For example, www.ih5.cn is changed to such a value. Similarly, we can preview it again, assign value first and then set it. We can see whether .cn in the above IH5 has become us for our website www.ih5order.cn. Therefore, this is the way we select values. Therefore, if you know our object structure very well, it is actually very, very simple. How do you judge yourself and don't understand this writing method? Look, here we copy it as a pass-through one, and then we go to each of them a value. For example, I want to set the value of Wayside. Is it equal to our temple website? Second, Max, do you think I found such a value? So our path is actually written like this. If you know how to choose such a path, you will also know how to write it if we choose the self-determined path. Here, let's demonstrate again. I turn off such a setting method. Let's select our information collection. Here is a method called our custom path, and you need to write a path in the custom path, so here we copy such a path. Note that before copying it, just add a little bit here, and then you can write your own series of paths. You can see that point breaks through a little website, point X is CN, and then paste R directly. Let's see the effect. First, assign a value to it. What is the result of the assignment? It can be seen that this is originally the CN of H5 point. We can see why it hasn't changed after another assignment. Let's see. Oh, there's one more point, temp1 here. Pay attention, temp1 is the value we copied outside, but in itself, it is its own information and set, so we decode it and delete it. Similarly, we still assign a value first. After assigning a value, we can see that HH C is here, and we copy it again, and we can see that it has become a www.ih5 click C, so pay attention to the custom path here. You have to mark a point first, which is equivalent to our point above. You pass through the point website.ix. I and H5 are actually copied in this way, so this writing method is completely consistent with the above writing method of user-defined path. In the final analysis, the difference is the previous point. In fact, if you master this method, if I ask you to assign a value to an array again, you are also negative, right? So let's demonstrate here. For example, I assign a value to the value in such an information total, and select the path. Let's select the value of an employee. When I select an employee, we can see that an element appears in the drop-down menu. Why is there such a writing method of an element? Let's take a look. Because what is it for employees? It's an array, right? So when I select an element, it will directly let me fill in a serial number of your corresponding array, and then after an element, we will copy its name or level A, and then we will select our name here, and then we will assign a value equal to 1 qui. Then here we need to write the position. For example, I changed the value of its D0 line. I'll write a 0 here, and then we'll read it to see an effect. Similarly, we'd better copy it first and click again. We can see that in the original time, such an employee's element in our D0 line is our yellow, and then A is equal to 26. Then we open such an element, and we can find that its inside is still yellow, and level A is equal to 26, but it has a lowercase inside, and then its name is our qui. Can you think about why? In fact, I deliberately put it here, coupled with your understanding of our data structure. Let's think about what a name I wrote here is. It's a lowercase inside story. Why is it a lowercase inside story? Let's think about whether it's because I'm in a structure here. I'm playing a lowercase insider here. Then I told you in our previous courses that the writing method of setting value and our added value is completely consistent. Since it has no method setting, it naturally adds U. So for a structure like ours, you see it is a lowercase insider. What if it can't find the lowercase insider? Then it will naturally help you add a value and become a query. What about this? In fact, it's very simple. Can we come to our object total? Let's change the value of such an array with name to an uppercase name, and then enter for confirmation. Then what shall I do? Right? You can notice that in addition to the method of adding nodes, there is also a JSON method here. Therefore, we can directly select the method of importing settlement here. Here, we copy the value of the assigned piece, and then import it into JSON for pasting. Here, you can directly click OK to see that it is automatic, and then help us analyze a structure. Do you remember? At the beginning, age I also wrote in lowercase. You see, it has become a brand new structure for us to parse. So we have parsed all our corresponding structures, and we have imported such a JSON format. We can see a structure of each layer by viewing JA, and then put it here. Then, if you want to edit you can edit it here. Then, if you want to keep the structure value of the value here, you check the default general variable to have the value of your structure. If you delete such a structure value, it will return to the root. The most basic function of the general variable is to just keep it here as a structure, so here we can only check it for the reserved structure. In this way, we need to copy it for a series of operations. So here, let's preview it again. Here, we can directly print a series of values, because it has such initial values, and then I can set any settings. Similarly, we will add a button here. Let's see what strange tricks the general variable has. When it is clicked, we will select our information collection. We can see that in the general variable, in the final analysis, it is for us to select a path, as long as we can select the path with him. What is the content of the series? In fact, they are all methods of our corresponding array. So let's demonstrate here again. If I want to set a value of the array, what should I do? I click here to set a value of the array, and then he asks me to select the path of an array. In the current structure, which is our array? Is this our array? Then it's a value. Is this a path for us to find our array? What's its index? Here, let's write it casually. For example, if we want to kill such a data of geographic bank, is its index 0? Then, similarly, let's write a data structure. Here, let's directly select a value of our object variable, and put such an object set it up. Usually, we will print out our information, and then we will have a preview. Let's have a look at it directly. You can see that for an object such as our D0 line, it is set. So in the final analysis, we must learn how to find paths, that is, as long as we can understand the paths of the set value, how we find them, and then we can carry out a series of operations on them. Finally, I would like to reiterate that our custom path is exactly the same as our path, but you need to add an additional point in front, and then write a series of paths after passing the point. For example, if we want to modify our company names here, we should write a paper like .company names here, and then change the paper into a high code, and then we can preview again to see whether it is right for our company name has been modified, and the method of selecting a path in this way is actually very important for everyone's understanding of our data structure. If you are very familiar with the use of our general variables, it proves that there is no problem with your data. And general variables. We will talk about it again when we do our API later. But in the preliminary course, when we do other cases, we will try to avoid using the method of general variables. So if the general variable is still a little difficult for you, you can wait for us to learn more deeply, and then you can deepen our understanding of the general variable as a widget. The above is all about general variables. Thank you for watching.